Hello everybody. In the past few days I've actually sold quite a few paintings, so I thought I would treat myself as a reward and paint something just for me and just for fun, and I'm going to share the project with you. So I have this old crappy canvas that I've painted over a few times, and I have a bit of an idea for a project for myself. So my number one tip for if you want to improve as an artist is don't be afraid to paint something random from time to time and push your boundaries. And sometimes you'll actually surprise yourself and that random thing you paint actually turns out to be really good and you'll know you have a skill you didn't even know you had. So two things that I would like to develop in my own painting is painting hands, which I've always found quite challenging, and often in my portraits the hands turn out to be a bit of an afterthought, which I think is a shame. And the second thing I'd like to develop is something called the Zorn palette, which is quite an interesting limited palette which I've used a few times in the past, but I would like to develop that a little bit more. So I'm going to combine a Zorn palette to paint some hands on this canvas, and hopefully I will improve my skills. So what is the Zorn palette? Well, the Zorn palette is a really cool limited palette that consists of black, white, yellow ochre, and cadmium red. Now, I don't have cadmium red or yellow ochre, so I'm using Winsor red, which is pretty much the same, and yellow oxide, which is also very similar to yellow ochre. Now, the real challenge with this is not creating too much grey in your painting, which is quite a challenge. I've tried this a few times, and the first painting I did turn out a little bit grey in areas, but I was able to tone that back down a little bit in my second attempt. So I'm hoping that in this painting, I'm going to be able to get some nice colours without it being too grey. So the idea I had for this painting to feature hands was to do sort of a kind of surrealistic kind of thing, and my idea is I'm going to paint one hand painting the other hand, so it's going to be a bit of a trippy illusion painting. So I've taken photos of both my left and right hands on this canvas already, so my kind of idea is I want to have like one hand like this kind of lying open, and it's going to be half painted, and then the right hand is going to come in here with a paintbrush and it's going to look like it's actually painting it. So that's the concept I have for this painting, so I'm going to try and see how we go with that. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is sketch out my composition using a mix of black and white to create a darker grey to contrast to this already grey background, and I'm just going to roughly sort of sketch in where the hands are going to be. And I actually deliberately want this to be quite sketchy looking because there will be little bits of this sketch left over in the end, so that you can see that it was a work in progress painting. So I actually want it to look sketchy. So this is looking like a bit of a hot mess at the moment, but I think I might have more or less got everything in the right place. As you can see, I was pushing and pulling it quite a bit, moving things around, rubbing things out, just getting a rough idea. I prefer to sketch in this way just because For some reason I find it easier just to use my eye. You may want to use a grid or something, but I find that this way is easy enough for me. So yeah, let's see if I can salvage this. I am going to start off with my darkest shadows first. And what I'm noticing about my reference photo is that it's quite cool, so I don't really see any really warm areas at all. So for my shadows, I'm going to try start off with a dark purple. So to mix that, because we don't have any blue, so I'm going to use some red, and for my blue, that's going to be a little bit of black and some white. Now obviously that's grey, but in the context of these colours, this grey is going to seem like blue, because when you compare it to the warmer colours, it looks cool. So I'm going to start with that. So I'm mixing this grey in with this red, and we're going to see how we go. Actually, that's looking quite nice. It's looking like a kind of like a ultramarine crimson or something. So it's definitely got a slight purpley note to it. So that worked out quite nicely. It's amazing what you can do with these random colours. Who'd have thought you could mix purple with this? I'm starting off with a very thin paint, so I'm just mixing in my solvent with this mix, so it's almost like watercolor. So this is just solvent and pigment, so it's very, very thin. So this will probably dry quite quickly actually, which is good, because once I've put this down and I've established my colors, I can start sort of working out where I want to put the darker areas and the lighter areas. And because this is dry and quite thin, I can very easily put thicker wet paint over the top of this. So that will make my job a lot easier from experience. So already from this, because as soon as I've put the first color down, I can see that this is not nearly dark enough. So there are areas in here where it needs to be darker. So that's good, because I have a point of reference now. I can add some more black to this mix, not too much because I don't want it to be too grey, and start building up the darker areas. Do you see how when you place these warmer colours next to the grey in the background here, this grey is actually looking quite a bit like blue? So that's how you can use these colour comparisons in your favour. Very slowly getting there. I'm just about to paint where my little brush is going to be, and it's got a green handle. So this is a good opportunity to show you how to mix green using these unlikely colours. So what you can do is you can mix some yellow oxide with a tiny bit of black, and that will create a very muted green. So it's a bit hard to see, but it is definitely a very earthy looking green colour. So that's how you mix green using yellow and black. Hey guys, just checking in. It's been a few days and I've been working on this one little bit by little bit, and as you can see it's coming along quite nicely. The most important thing, which I've definitely pulled off, is that I'm really enjoying this process. So the main thing I wanted to achieve with this painting was just to push my skills, enjoy the process, and try to learn something new. So I'm really enjoying that, and I think I might be on the way to creating quite a nice painting. So I've sort of added more of my negative spaces here in the background, and I've sort of decided to push the idea of the optical illusion a little bit more by adding the idea of a bit of a paint palette there on the canvas directly, so that completes the illusion. So I think today I'm just going to finish off this hand and then I'll call it done. So yeah, I'll be attaching the rest of the time lapse after this segment, so I'll say goodbye to you now. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Thanks.